हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल द सोलफुल डायरी। आज के वीडियो में हम बात करेंगे एडमंड स्पेंसर की पोम एमोरेटी के बारे में। पोएट के बारे में हम पहले ही एक वीडियो में डिस्कस कर चुके हैं, जिसका लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में। चलिए आज पोम को इन डेप्थ डिस्कस करते हैं। पोम को इन डेप्थ डिस्कस करने से पहले जान लेते हैं उसके कुछ की फीचर्स। Translated in English to Little Love Poems, Spenser's Amoretti is perhaps one of his best works. A sequence of 89 sonnets in total, Amoretti is written in Petrarchan form, which, like all sonnets, is comprised of 14 lines divided into two parts, the octave and the sestet. The Petrarchan sonnet typically assumes the rhyme scheme A-B-B, A-A, B-B-A in its octave, and the sestet tends to take on various different forms. Amoretti was written in 1594 but was not published until the next year. While in form and meter, Spenser's Amoretti assumed all the characteristics of a sonnet, his sonnet's content was drastically different. While most authors, including Sidney and Petrarch himself, wrote about women whom they felt enamored with, but did not actually know, but admired obsessively from afar, Spenser wrote his verses about a woman whom he truly adored and pursued in real life, Elizabethan Boyle, his eventual wife. हम लोग सारे सॉनेट्स ने डिस्कस करेंगे, बट हम सॉनेट 174 एंड 75 जो है डिस्कस करेंगे. The sonnets 174 and 75 all reflect aspects of literary self-consciousness in Spenser's writing. Simply put, this concept is writing or making references to the impact or effects that one composer's writing will have in the context of their text. Spenser does this dutifully and consistently in each of the sonnets, analyzed that with his writing, his ideas and feeling towards his love will last forever, since literature does not fade as does life. Sonnet 1 of Amoretti. Happy he leaves when, as those lily hands, which hold my life in their dead doing might, shall handle you and hold in love's soft bands, like captives trembling at the victor's side, and happy lines on which, with starry light, whose lamping eyes will deign sometimes to look and read the sorrows of my dying sprite, written with tears and heart's close bleeding book. And happy rhymes bathed in the sacred brook of Helicon, whence she derived is, when we behold that angel's blessed look, my soul's long lagged food, my heaven's bliss, leaves lines and rhymes seek her to please alone, whom if ye please I care for other none. Sonnet 1 is the first of the Amoretti sonnets written by Spenser in 1595. Spenser dedicated his poems in the Amoretti series to his new wife Elizabeth. The audience of this first sonnet is the poem itself. In this way, it is a poem alluding to all of his poems he wrote about his wife. Each quatrain focuses on a different part of the poem. Quadrant 1 is about the pages, quadrant 2 addresses the lines, and quadrant 3 is the rhyme. Sonnet 1 ends with a couplet that wraps up the points made in each of the quatrain. Like many of Spenser's sonnets, we see evidence of literary self-consciousness in Sonnet 1. Sonnet 1 displays literary self-consciousness in terms of his lover being a part of each sector of his poetry. Spenser knows that his poems are written for the purpose of his lover to read and enjoy them. He knows that she will do just that. The first quatrain addresses the pages of the poem, leaves in the first line or in Spenser's name for pages of a poem. He explains that the pages of his poetry are only happy when the woman he loves is holding them. In line 2, which hold my life the dead doing might, states that this woman holds his life in her hands, therefore she has power to kill him, a metaphor that Spencer describes in his lover, holding the poem in her hands, captive just as he is captive by her love. He claims that the pages are happy to be embraced by his lover. In the same way, Spencer is happy when his lover embraces him. The second quatrain describes the lines of the poem. In this quatrain, Spencer says that the lines will be happy when his lover's starry light and lamping eyes read them. Starry light is another way of saying that someone has an innocent and hopeful view of love. The lamping eyes will deign sometimes to look explains that any excitement in her eyes while reading his poem will tell him whether the play is worth being looked at or not. The last two lines explains what his lover will be reading from his poetry. For instance, his sorrows deep inside. On line 8, Spencer writes, written with tears and hearts, close bleeding book. This line portrays how sincere his poetry is and how every emotion or feeling he has for her is evident in the lines of the poems he writes. The whole second quatrain paints a very vivid picture of how heartfelt his poetry is and therefore how heartfelt his love for her. The last quatrain focuses on the rhymes within a poem. The sacred brook of Helicon refers to the sacred rivers of the Helicon Mountains. In Greek mythology, Helicon Mountains was a place favored by gods and goddesses. Some of those goddesses were known as muses for literature and other art forms. When Spencer says that his lover is derived from Helicon, he is comparing her to one of the Greek gods, Muses. He says that the rhymes are happy when his lover is the muse. He goes on to say that when his lover looks at the rhymes in his poem, this is considered his bliss. The two lines at the end are the couplet of the poem. In this couplet, Spencer wraps up everything he has written in the quatrains above. Spencer states that as long as his lover is happy from his poem, he too is happy. Nothing else matters to him but making his wife happy from his poetry. Sonnet 1 of the Amoretti is in a way written to describe all the sonnets to follow and explain the significance of each part within the sonnet. Sonnet 74. Most happy letter framed by skillful trade with which that happy name was first designed, the which three times thrice happy hath me made, with gifts of body, fortune, and of mind. The first my being to me gave by kind, from mother's womb derived by due descent. The second is my sovereign queen, most kind, that honor and large richness to me lent. The third, my love, my life's last ornament, by whom my spirit out of dust was raised, to speak her praise and glory excellent of all alive, most worthy to be praised. Yea, the Elizabethans for her live, that three such graces did unto me give. Spencer drafted the sonnet to pay homage to the Elizabeths in his life. This name is not revealed until the last two lines of the sonnet, known as a couplet. He does this beautifully within the three quatrains and couplet structure of a sonnet. The sonnet illustrates Spencer's theme of literary self consciousness when he states that the Elizabeths will live forever with his writing even after his death. The first quatrain begins with the line most happy letter framed by skillful trade, which is regarded as a song of praise and joy. The opening lines reference a particular name which is constructed with skill and it has three important meanings in his life. The name has made him blissful in both body, fortune, and mind. The name has not yet been revealed to us, but we know of which the three examples it will pose importance to Spencer. The second quatrain deals with the first and second marriages of the name as different in the first quatrain. The first meaning is representative of the happiness of his body. His mother gave birth to his body and shares the special name he refers to. The second meaning is of his fortune, which is given to him by his kind queen, who provides him with honor and riches for the creation of his poetry. This is the first time a reader may infer that the name he is speaking of is Elizabeth, due to the historical context of when the sonnet was written, that is, when Queen Elizabeth was in power. The third and final quatrain illustrates the third and final meaning of the name here is so enamored with. He was courting a woman named Elizabeth Boyle at the time of composition of the sonnet. Sonnets are traditionally love poems addressed to a woman the composer was in love with at the time, so it is fitting that he makes a reference to his Elizabeth as well as the others. He writes that his love has raised his spirits out of the dust and he must speak her praise and glory. She's the most worthy woman alive who should be praised. The final couplet that ties up the meaning of the sonnet allows for the revealing of the name he finds so important, a necessary and much anticipated conclusion. He reveals that the name is written in his poem to his Elizabeth, and the glory and graces of her name will live for more in the context of his sonnets. This is representative of the literary self consciousness Spenser often references to his in his compositions. He is aware that he is writing about writing and that while doing this, his ideas will be concrete and immortal even when the subjects of his sonnets are not. Sonnet 75. One day I wrote her name upon the strand, but came the waves and washed it away. Again I wrote it with a second hand, but came the tide and made my pains a spray. Vain the man said, she that doest his vain essay, a mortal thing so to immortalize, for I myself shall like to this decay, and eke my name be wiped out likewise, not so could I let baser things devise. To die in dust, but you shall live by fame, my verse your virtues rare shall eternize, and in the heavens write your glorious name. Where whence death shall all the world subdue, our love shall live, and later life renew. The first quatrain in the sonnet starts with a man writing his beloved's name in the sand. Each time he writes her name, the waves come and wash it away. Since the man tried to write her name in the sand, it shows her his desperate need to have his love remembered. In the second quatrain, the woman whom he loves tells him that no human can be immortalized due to time. She tells him he is being vain in trying to make something last forever. That is not meant to. She will be removed from the earth and forgotten just as her name is removed from the sand. In this quatrain, it also shows that awareness of death in the time period in which this poem was written. In the 16th century, the awareness of death became more known and had more focus than usual. In the third quatrain, the man tells her she will be immortalized due to the fact that she will live on through his poems and verses. He uses the argument that worldly things die, but she will not. Using his argument, he places her above worldly things, saying she will last forever. This quatrain brings about the notion of eternal love. This quatrain shows that he will always love her because he eternalized their love through writing this poem that will last forever. Their love will triumph death because it is in writing for anyone to see and read and learn about when they want to read it. The ending couplet ends with a man saying that even after the world ends, their love shall live on forever and never end. As said before, he made their love everlasting through writing this poem. This poem has a reassuring tone because the man says their love will last forever and truly believes this based off his writing. The poem is also pleasant and calm, sound think when reading it, saying that love will last forever and exceed time is a happy and reassuring notion. The poem is also a part of lyric poetry. It focuses on personal and emotional feelings. In this poem, is expresses the man's feelings on their love lasting forever and a woman's feelings on how it won't last past them. थैंक यू। आई होप आज की वीडियो आपको पसंद है। कैसी लगी हमें कमेंट करके बताएं और हमें ये भी कमेंट करके बताएं कि आप आने वाली वीडियो किस टॉपिक पर देखना चाहते हैं। अगर वीडियो अच्छी लगी तो लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब टू माई चैनल। मिलते हैं कल एक और इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियो के साथ शाम 4 बजे। टिल देन कीप वॉचिंग एंड कीप सपोर्टिंग द सोलफुल डायरी। थैंक यू।